The rain turned the alley behind Romano's restaurant into a river of grime and forgotten things. Trevor Martinez took out the trash like he did every night at closing, balancing 2 bags while trying to keep his work shoes from getting soaked through. At 33, he'd been working as a line cook for 5 years, ever since his wife died and left him alone with their daughter Maya, who was now 9. The pay was barely enough, but the owner let him take home leftovers for Maya, and the schedule meant he could walk her to school before his shift started at 11. Small mercies when you were raising a kid on your own. He was about to head back inside when he heard it, a voice so quiet he almost missed it under the sound of rain. "Please, just make it fast." Trevor froze. The voice came from behind the dumpster, weak and resigned. He moved closer, his heart pounding, and saw her. A woman, maybe in her 40s, huddled against the brick wall. Her clothes were expensive once, a tailored suit now soaked and filthy. Her dark hair hung in wet tangles around a face that was gaunt, hollow, marked by bruises in various stages of healing. But it was her eyes that stopped Trevor cold. They were empty, like she'd already left her body behind. In her hand, she held a handful of pills. "Ma'am?" Trevor's voice was gentle, non-threatening. Years of talking to Maya through nightmares had taught him how to sound calm when his heart was racing. "What are you doing?" She didn't look at him. "Go away, please. I don't want anyone to see this." Trevor slowly knelt down, ignoring the water soaking through his jeans. "I can't do that. I'm Trevor. What's your name?" "It doesn't matter." Her hand shook, the pills rattling. "Nothing matters anymore. It matters to someone. Always does." Trevor kept his voice steady. "I've got a 9-year-old daughter. If something happened to me, it would matter to her. Who would it matter to if something happened to you?" For the first time, the woman's eyes flickered. Something like pain crossed her face. "No one. Not anymore." "I don't believe that. You don't know anything about me." Her voice cracked. "You don't know what I've lost, what I've done. You're right. I don't. But I know that whatever it is, this isn't the answer." Trevor slowly reached out his hand. "Please, give me the pills. Let me help you. You can't help me." But her hand was shaking harder now, the resignation in her eyes warring with something else. Fear, maybe, or hope, buried so deep she'd forgotten it was there. Maybe not. "But I can sit with you while it rains. I can listen, and then maybe we can figure out what happens next together." The woman stared at him for a long moment, then slowly her hand opened. The pills scattered across the wet pavement. She started crying, deep sobs that shook her whole body. Trevor moved closer, wrapping his work jacket around her shoulders. "It's okay, you're okay, I've got you." "I'm not okay," she gasped between sobs. "I'm so far from okay. Right now, in this moment, you're alive." "That's enough. The rest we can work on." Trevor called 911, stayed with her while the paramedics came. She gave her name finally, Diana Hartwell. She didn't resist when they put her on the stretcher, but her hand reached out and grabbed Trevor's. "Why did you stop?" she whispered. "Why did you care?" "Because someone should. Because everyone deserves to have someone who cares." At the hospital, the staff recognized her name. Trevor heard the whispers. Diana Hartwell, CEO of Hartwell Enterprises, one of the largest manufacturing companies in the state, missing for 3 weeks. Her family had been searching everywhere. Trevor gave a statement to the police, left his contact information, and went home to Maya. He didn't tell his daughter what had happened, just held her a little tighter when he tucked her into bed. 2 days later, a black car pulled up outside Trevor's apartment building. A man in a suit knocked on his door. "Mr. Martinez, I'm Richard Hartwell, Diana's brother. May I come in?" Trevor let him in, suddenly conscious of his threadbare furniture, the toys scattered across the floor, the stack of past-due bills on the kitchen counter. Richard's eyes were red, like he'd been crying recently. "I wanted to thank you in person. Diana is in a psychiatric facility getting help. The doctors say if she'd taken those pills, she wouldn't have survived. You saved her life. I just talked to her. You did more than that." Richard sat down heavily. "Can I tell you what happened, so you understand what you saved her from?" Trevor nodded. "Diana built Hartwell Enterprises from nothing. Our father left us with debt and a failing factory. She turned it into an empire over 20 years. She was brilliant, driven, unstoppable. Richard's voice broke, but the pressure got to her. She started making risky decisions. Then her husband left her, took their kids. She spiraled, started using pills to work longer hours, then to sleep, then just to get through the day. He looked at Trevor. She embezzled money from the company to cover her addiction. When the board discovered it, they forced her out, publicly humiliated her. She lost everything in a week. Her career, her reputation, her family. She disappeared 3 weeks ago. We thought she might be dead. I'm sorry, Trevor said quietly. She's getting help now. Real help. Rehab for the addiction, therapy for the depression. She's got a long road ahead. Richard pulled out an envelope. This is from the family, a reward for saving her. Trevor opened it. Inside was a check for $50,000. His hands shook. $50,000. He could pay off his debts, fix his car, put money away for Maya's future. It was more money than he'd ever seen at once. But something about it felt wrong. Like he was being paid for basic human decency. I can't accept this, Trevor said, handing it back. Richard looked stunned. Mr. Martinez, you saved my sister's life. I did what anyone should do. I can't take money for that. Please, it would mean a lot to the family. Trevor thought about Maya, about the bills, about the fact that his refrigerator was dying and he couldn't afford to replace it. He thought about how much easier life could be with that money. Then he thought about the look in Diana's eyes when she'd asked why he cared. How shocked she'd been that someone would help without expecting anything in return. Keep the money, Trevor said. Use it for her treatment, or for addiction programs for other people who need help. That would matter more than paying me. Richard's eyes filled with tears again. You're a remarkable man, Mr. Martinez. I'm just a dad trying to raise a good kid. I want Maya to learn that you help people because it's right, not because you'll get something out of it. 3 months later, Trevor was working the dinner rush when his boss called him into the office. Standing there was Diana Hartwell. She looked different. Healthier, her eyes clear, her posture strong. She was still thin, but she no longer looked like she was fading away. Mr. Martinez, she said, her voice steady, I wanted to thank you in person. I wasn't in a place to do it before. You don't need to thank me. I'm just glad you're okay. I'm better than okay. I'm alive because you cared when you didn't have to. She paused. I've been thinking a lot during treatment about what matters, about what kind of person I want to be going forward. And I realized something. She pulled out a folder. I'm starting over, not going back to corporate life, but doing something that matters. I'm opening a recovery center for executives and professionals struggling with addiction. People like me who thought they were too successful to have a problem, who lost everything before they got help. Trevor smiled. That sounds amazing. I want you to be part of it. I'm not a counselor or... No, but you understand something. Most professionals don't. You understand that people are more than their worst moments, that everyone deserves compassion and a second chance. She opened the folder. I'm hiring a facilities director, someone to run the day operations, work with staff, manage the recovery environment. The pay is $90,000 a year, full benefits, flexible schedule so you can be there for Maya. Trevor stared at her. Miss Hartwell, I'm a line cook. I don't have management experience or... You have something better. You have empathy. You have integrity. You stopped in a rainy alley for a stranger who'd given up on life. You refused a reward because you wanted the money to help others instead. Those aren't skills you learn in business school, Mr. Martinez. That's character. She met his eyes. The truth is, I don't trust most corporate people anymore. They're good at spreadsheets and strategy, but they forgot how to be human. You never did. That's what this place needs. That's what the people we'll help need. Trevor thought about Maya, about finally being able to give her a stable life, about working somewhere that mattered, that helped people who were struggling the way Diana had been struggling. When would I start? Diana smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes. Whenever you're ready. 6 months later, the Hartwell Recovery Center opened in a renovated mansion outside the city. Trevor walked through the halls every day, checking on residents, coordinating with therapists, making sure everyone felt safe and supported. He hired other people like him, people who'd struggled, who understood what it meant to hit bottom, who led with compassion instead of judgment. The center became known for its humanity, for treating addiction as an illness rather than a moral failure. Diana was there often, talking to residents, sharing her own story. She'd lost her company, her marriage, her old life, but she'd found something more valuable: purpose. One evening, after the residents had gone to bed, Diana and Trevor sat in the garden. "You know what I think about sometimes?" Diana said. "What would have happened if you hadn't taken out the trash that night? If you'd left 5 minutes earlier or later? If you'd heard me and kept walking? Don't think about that, but I do, because I was so close to the edge. And you pulled me back, not because you knew who I was or what I could give you, but because you saw a human being in pain and you couldn't walk away." Trevor looked at the center, at the lights glowing in the windows, at the place that was giving people their lives back. "You did the real work. You got sober. You built this place. I just sat with you in the rain. You did more than that. You reminded me that I was worth saving, that my life still had value even when I'd lost everything else." Diana's voice was thick with emotion. "I spent 20 years building a company, Trevor. Made millions of dollars, employed thousands of people. But this, what we're doing here, helping people find their way back from the darkness, this is the first thing I've ever done that actually matters." She looked at him. "And it exists because a line cook stopped on a rainy night and said, 'Your life matters.' That's the kind of legacy that changes the world, one person at a time." Maya came to visit sometimes, helping in the garden, talking to residents who were parents trying to get back to their kids. Trevor watched his daughter learn that success wasn't measured in money or titles, but in how many lives you touched, how much compassion you showed, how willing you were to help when someone needed it. Sometimes the most important thing we can do is simply refuse to walk away from someone in pain. Sometimes the greatest act of courage is sitting in the rain with a stranger and saying, "You're not alone." And sometimes when we save someone from their darkest moment, we discover that they save us right back by showing us what it means to rebuild, to find purpose in helping others, to turn our own suffering into something that heals the world. Trevor had thought he was just a line cook taking out the trash. He didn't know he was standing at the edge of something that would change everything, for Diana, for himself, for every person who would walk through the doors of the Hartwell Center looking for hope. All because he stopped, all because he cared, all because when someone whispered, "Please, just make it fast," he said, "No, let me help you live instead." If this story touched your heart, please like and share it with someone who needs a reminder that their life matters, even in their darkest moment. Subscribe for more stories about the power of compassion and second chances, and leave a comment about a time when someone's kindness saved you, or when you chose to help even when it was easier to walk away. Your story might be the hope someone needs to keep going today.